Hello and welcome to Clamp, the Creating, Living, and Making podcast. I'm your host, Morley Kurt, and joining me this week is the awesome Adam Mackey.
Hello.
The glorious Grant Alexander.
Hello.
And the jovial James Fingers.
G'day all.
Also known as Fixit Fingers. Welcome, James. How's it going?
Good, thanks, fellas. Thanks for having me on today.
Our pleasure. For the listeners who don't know who you are, before we dive into our Clamp mendations, why don't you just give them a quick little bio, what you do, a little bit about Mr. Fixit Fingers.
Okay, well, primarily I suppose most people will know me as an Australian hobbyist woodworker on YouTube, like an awful lot of other people around here and around the world. So that's primarily how I got into this whole scene. Getting into woodworking is something I'm still relatively new at. I literally just had my 2-year woodwork/YouTube anniversary this month. And I became a woodworker and became Fixit Fingers because I'm the strata manager at my building here. So I live in a small strata block. And when we moved into the building, there wasn't anyone willing to take on that role. And then I figured out how expensive handymen are to get all the small jobs done. And so Fixit Fingers became a handyman business, and I look after the small things here. And if I can't do it, I'll call in the professionals. So from that, I had a bunch of tools, and I started to learn how to use them properly. And I also have another hobby, which we won't delve into because that's another rabbit hole entirely, but a lot of people may be familiar with geocaching, which is a hide-and-seek treasure game. And part of that is collecting coins. And so I wanted a way to display these little small coins called path tags, and I wanted to build it out of wood. So I took my tools from Fixit Fingers, I took a few bits of wood that I scrapped around, and I decided that while I was building, I would record it for my own benefit. And that was the start of Fixit Fingers Woodworking, the YouTube channel. And now 2 years on, I pretty much woodwork more than I geocache, and I've just fallen in love with the hobby.
Nice. Well, on that, what have you been working on this past week or recently?
In my clamps this week is a sander. Literally downstairs at the moment, I have a sander clamped in a box, which is testing sandpaper. So I've spent 12 hours over the past 3 days doing nothing else but sanding with 120 grit sandpaper on a giant red gum sleeper to see how fast and how long 14 different sandpapers will cut.
Wow.
Are you comparing like grits or brands or both?
No, brands. So they're all I'm trying to keep everything as consistent as possible. It's all 120 grit because it's a nice medium sort of grit to go on. And I'm testing the speed, how fast they will cut through material, and also the durability, basically how long will a sandpaper piece last. And mostly for my own interest, so I can see which brand of sandpaper I'm going to buy and stick with going forward, but hopefully be interesting to other people too, and focusing on Australian brands.
Wow. So just from this like first 12 hours of sanding, do you have any preliminary findings? Are you waiting to reveal any conclusions until the end?
Two generally. It's actually really interesting because some of them, for instance, may not cut as fast, but they last a lot longer. So effectively, if you're buying ceramic-based sandpapers, they're not as good as the aluminium oxide for speed, but where the aluminium oxides drop off really quickly, the ceramic ones just keep going and going and going. And probably no surprises to anyone, the nets tend to be better for dust extraction than the regulars. But again, they may not actually be better overall. When I get the video out, hopefully this week, we'll reveal all.
I would assume they would last longer though.
The ceramics, I think, are seeming to last longer. So I haven't actually run the destruction tests through yet. They're going on today. But yeah, it's been a lot more interesting than I thought it would.
Did you say you have the sander clamped into, like, is it just running right now?
The speed test I ran with my arm, literally had to do it that way to keep it even. For the destruction test, I've built a jig where the sander is held against the wood with the correct amount of pressure, and I can measure how much wood is being removed over time, effectively. So I'm a scientist in my day job, so designing experiments is something I'm quite familiar with, and applying that to the woodworking hobby too.
Cool.
I really enjoy these types of tests, and there's something that I've definitely I've actually read up on sanders, so this is interesting to me. I don't. Everyone else is bored to tears, but I read up on sanders because I was like thinking my sander sucks so much. So I started reading up, and I read like a woodworking journal about this, and they measured how much they used like a vacuum to pull the dust out, and how good the dust extraction was by weighing the sawdust that came out. And you don't have to reveal your secrets now, but I'm very interested to see what your scientific brain came up with to figure out how you can measure the different sanding efficacy.
Well, obviously, there's going to be a lot of problems with my test. I'm only got one sander, my little Makita 18-volt random orbital, and honestly, it has been amazing. I thought my arm, when you sand for like hours, you get that tingly sort of feeling often with the cheap sanders. I had a Ryobi before this, and I couldn't sand for more than an hour. I've literally done 10 hours of sanding, and that machine and my arm are both fine. So the sander's great, but it's not the best sander. It's battery powered, so I have to compensate, make sure the batteries are there. There's a whole lot of variables, but it's going to be a good relative test, I think. Overall, and when I publish the results, they should be quite interesting.
I'm looking forward to it.
Seeing your post about that tingling made me think that maybe I picked the wrong brand.
Yes, don't want to get any nerve damage.
So
what about you, Grant?
What's in your clamps?
There we go.
Wow,
Took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, you should host this thing. Because you somehow knew I was actually up next on the thing. So I've actually been working on my FFD Restorations collab video. It's going to be dropped on Sunday of this week because that's what he has asked me to do. And, you want to take advantage of collaborations when you can. If they drop on the same day, you can hopefully point to each other. But it's going to be a lot of fun. He restored a knife and sent it all the way over to me, and I built him a knife stand. So I'm actually going to tell you guys what it is this week. I built him a knife stand that looks like his logo. So it's an F, an F, and a D, and each letter holds one knife. And I know he has a giant collection of knives because he's restored lots on his YouTube channel. And so I finished that. It got sent to him, and he got it a couple weeks ago. He's just in the middle of moving, so he wasn't able to put out the video right away. But I'm going to finish off the video this week, and I'm excited.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen a picture of it. It looks awesome.
Thanks. The other thing is I've been working on painting my house, trying to get into get it in before the snow flies. And I chose an orange color. It was called like Fireside Chat or something. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Bonfire Chat or I don't know. Whatever it was, it's way brighter than I thought it was going to be. And now it's cold, so we're going to wait until spring and maybe change it in the spring.
Mysteriously exactly the same color orange as the Grant Alexander's logo. That was purely coincidental, I'm sure.
I just love that one day a year your shutters are the perfect color.
What, Halloween?
Yeah.
So it's good that I got it in before Halloween. It's actually it's way brighter than the Grant. I was going for the Grant Alexander color, and it is 10 times brighter than that. Like it looks like that when I was looking at it in the store. But once it's on the house in the real natural light, it is boom.
It's probably more my orange.
What does Abby think?
Abby doesn't want to wait till spring. Abby's still getting used to it. We'll see. Sometimes you need to give it a week or two to get. I'm also going to paint my front door.
It's pretty bold.
So I got to take my I wanted bold. I was going for bold. But yeah. So
one aesthetic that I love, if you're looking to really switch it up, because your house is white, right?
Yeah.
So I love the combination of like white or light colored house, black mullions in the windows, and then like red shutters. I think if you paint the mullions and window frames black, it can really add a lot if you want to do colored shutters.
That's, I think, why it looks too bright is because we have the brightest white there is as all the window framing parts. But that's the paint that I own. So we'll see. But I agree. I think if I added some like charcoal or black around it, it would really tone down the orange. But then it would be even more Halloween-y.
Yeah. Well, this week, I put out the video I alluded to last week, which was the Halo Health Pack First Aid Kit, all 3D printed.
I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really excited about it. And I feel like if anything I've shown in the past few months is that I chronically underestimate my own productivity, because I don't know how many times I've said, I don't know if I'm going to get this out in time for the episode. And then I do. Then I have to go in the show notes and wrote, yeah, Morley did that thing. Here's the thing. Yeah, no, but I'm very happy with it.
Yeah.
I like the, not just the product itself, like even though that's cool and it's like from Halo and that, but I think you're going to get a lot of people that are going to look at that and go, you know, what other game or something can I make a first aid kit from? Like, so not like, I just feel like the idea of making something that looks so tacky, like even though it's needed and necessary, so tacky in a workshop, you can make it look so cool.
Yeah.
And the idea of it, I just thought was awesome.
Yeah, I think like I've had a lot of people commenting on that, saying like, oh, this is making me think of like, I want to go through all my like video game collection and choose a video game, or choose this like very unknown health kit that was only in the Halo Combat Evolved manual but never made it into the games or something.
Yeah.
It's cool that it seems to be providing a jumping off point for a lot of people, which is always nice. And if anyone wants to print that, I actually put the STL files both on Thingiverse and prusaprinters.org. So the links to that are in the video bio if you want to print it yourself. Other than that, I finished up my Fools with Tools treasure trade project.
Oh,
so,
I haven't even started mine.
I got inspired. I don't know if anyone listening does not know the Fools with Tools podcast, first of all, go listen because it's a great podcast. And second of all, I don't know how many years now, but they do an annual sort of like make something for another maker gift exchange sort of thing. And the idea is that it arrives in time for the holidays. So I'm really hoping that my giftee chooses to open it when it arrives, because I'm making a video on it and I really like it and I want to put it out like ASAP, but it's totally their prerogative if they want to wait to open it until Christmas. So I know last week I said like, I don't know when I'll get that video out. This time I have no idea when I will get this video out, because they can choose not to open it until who knows when, but it should be a cool video regardless. Yeah. What about you, Adam? What have you been working on this week?
Well, I've been trying to decide what to put in and packing my Mystery Makers collab box. And so he listens to the podcast, but he's going to know it's me anyway. So I got Leroy, who is our top patron. I got Leroy, and so I had a Japanese saw, and day 2 after I got it, it snapped. The blade snapped off. I got a replacement sent straight away. But my intention was always to turn that blade into a card scraper, but I just never got around to it. So I chucked that in the box, and I thought, I wonder what he would do with it.
Yeah.
Like, he might come up with a completely different idea. And I'm trying to put stuff in the box that is, like, out of the box, but doesn't look like I've just, like, thrown in all my rubbish. So
that's what I did with the last one. And I only got
that's why I chucked in some, like, old nails and stuff as well.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, so excited to get my box and see what the hell I'm going to make.
Yeah.
And then the other thing this week is I got my van video out, which was surprising. Yeah. So like you, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this out in like by the next episode. Like I thought I was still going to be working on it for like another few weeks. And then just got so much time to work on it at work that I got it pumped out, which was good. I put like so much time into it compared to normal. I color graded every single clip. And I did a completely different style for the video, which I really enjoyed. And I worked out that I can record, say, voiceover. And then, so the way I did it is I cut all my clips up to how I wanted them, put them in the timeline, cut what I wanted from each clip. and then recorded the voiceover, and then I sped up and slowed down the clips to fit into that voiceover. So like I'm constantly talking, which I think is great. Like I showed it to my wife and she's like, it's so good that there's not just like blank space of no one talking for like a couple of minutes while you do stuff. I think that turned out good.
Yeah, it was fun. I love, well, first of all, I love the like laying and draw me like one of your French girls pose. But I was thinking, I was like, I had a feeling that like by the end you got like a little uncomfortable because like how long did you hold that same position for?
Oh, like the first two like steps, and then I was like, yeah, I can't hold this the whole time. It's just gonna kill me.
Yeah,
it was cool though.
Yeah, fun.
But then when I recorded the opening the back to like have me reveal when I opened the boot laying there, I made sure to do it for the entire thing, like the intro.
Yeah. That was a great intro. I loved it.
Thank you. There was a lot of masking. I was like, if I had a green screen and I could have just filled in the back, like it would have made life so much easier.
The worst is when someone walks through the back, like when you're filming outside. Like for the camping video, I did some fun like visual effects filming, but Morley kept walking in behind my shot and I didn't realize it, so I wasn't able to use any of it.
Was it when I showed my wife the video and she's like, did you ask all the neighbors if they can be in your video? Because like if you look in the background, people are mowing their lawns and stuff. I didn't even notice.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. So that was fun. And then, yeah, so if you watch that video, you'll see at the end of it that I said, like, if you liked the video, like and subscribe, all that jamble stuff. And I said about having the podcast, and I have to apologize to Morley because I said that he's from Canada, even though he lives in Canada, but he's American. Well, I said he's Canadian, but he's not.
Well, there was a Morley Kurt who was from Canada. It's just that he was my grandfather.
Yeah, right.
But it's not the worst thing in the world to be from Canada. I'll accept it.
But I just thinking, because I didn't think about it when I said it and everything, and then during editing I was thinking about it and I was like, you know, it's weird that I have to justify that you need to not really justify where you're from, but I never think about the fact that people are watching this from another country and that they're going to be like some people probably don't even know where I'm from, even though I have an Australian accent, and that people might not know what that accent actually is, if you know what I mean. And that sort of stuff. And it just got me like thinking about like where people are actually from in the videos, and that it's weird that like America is like the center of everything. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's I mean, one of the amazing things about the maker community is how international it is. And it does in a lot of ways feel like there are no boundaries in the community itself. Like the borders don't really mean anything unless you start shipping things, and then you have to pay like $100 to ship a small letter to Australia from Canada. But no, then there's also the trade-off in that like lots of fantastic things can come out of local collaboration. Like me and Grant being able to go on this camping trip together, for example. Or like James, for you, for example, like I was watching your wood species video earlier today. And I never even heard of any of those woods. Like I know eucalyptus is a tree, but like the species of wood that you made the dog gate out of, I never even knew that existed. And that's a video that probably mostly people with Australia would get a ton of value out of.
Well, I've got a bit of a confession to make here on the show, lads, and it's one I'm proud of, but I'm not proud of. I'm a YouTube racist.
Oh.
So it was a really interesting topic that Grant put up because it had me examine the different aspects of my social media and my changing attitude in social media. As I said, like when I very first started Fixit Fingers, I actually didn't even have the woodworking part as part of my title. I was literally documenting for myself I hate the trope, the journey of my woodworking. And so I could go back and look and see how I did things and hopefully how I've improved. But very early on, I made the conscious decision that there is far too much out there of brilliant stuff, brilliant makers, brilliant materials, and Morley, I've got a bone to pick with you as well. It's just time is limited and time is precious. And social media, as my wife would attest to, I'm rather addicted to my social media, and I spend enough time, too much time on there as there is. And I felt I had to draw boundaries, and I really still define those quite geographically. And when it comes to most of my social media, I try to follow Australian. On my Instagram, nearly, I'd say 80% plus of the accounts I follow are Australian. And that's not because there aren't brilliant makers in Canada and America and the UK. And I have, I've got friends in Turkey and South America and all over the place. But they tend to be exceptions to the rule. Most of the people I follow are Australian, and it is a bit weird, isn't it? Like, it's how do you try to focus yourself? And geography is one of those ways you can do it.
Mm-hmm. So I can go the other way with that and say that I don't really follow many Australians. Mainly, I don't know, like, because even before I got into the whole woodworking YouTube side and everything, like I would watch a woodworker on YouTube every now and then or whatever, but I always watched Americans, and I think it was more of that I enjoyed seeing a different culture, and that's why I followed all those sort of channels. But yeah,
that's probably why I follow so many Australians, and because I like the accent.
Most of my internationals.
What is your bone to pick with me? I'm very curious.
Getting me watching bloody, not only sort of geography races, but also material races. Like I pretty much exclusively watch woodworking videos on YouTube. I listen to music at work with it, but other than that, I don't watch anything. I used to watch gaming videos, game theory I used to really, really love, but even that dropped off because I just wanted to focus my time on what I want. And what I want to watch on YouTube are generally Australian amateur woodworkers. I have a couple of exceptions. Woodworking for Mere Mortals is one of the reasons I got into YouTube, like very, very many people. Steve Ramsey is just, he's the legend of the platform, and I still watch everything that he produces. But he's it. I don't watch Matthias Wandel. I don't watch Jimmy DeResta. Sorry, Jimmy. I know he listens. I don't watch any of the really big channels by choice. I would rather give my limited time to Make a Mackie, to Vic from Down Under and so many other guys, Sumo, who is probably the reason I watch as many internationals as I do. I want to watch those Australian hack shops. No disrespect, man. Right. I want people who don't know what they're doing, figuring it out and doing well. Morley has recently got me watching not only another American/Canadian person, but also watching leather. And I really enjoy it, and I didn't want to enjoy it. And I'm loving and now I have to go back and watch. But I'm going to only watch Morley's leather. I'm going to make sure I do not click on any of the suggested videos afterwards, and just watch Morley's leather working videos.
Very good.
Did you just say that I have a hack shop?
Everyone has a hack shop. Except for Pass. Neil Pass mates. He's not a hack shop. Everyone else is.
Yeah. But he's not Australian.
I do watch a couple of, no, but he lives in Australia. I do watch Pass, whatever it is, mates, and I do watch Sumo, but there's not really many other Australians that I watch. I mean, if I knew about them, I probably would.
Mm-hmm.
I've got onto my internationals via people like Grant. I absolutely know 100% for sure. I started following Grant because of Sumo, because Grant was featured on his channel. And if they're good enough for Sumo, I'll usually make the exception of breaking my Aussie border boundaries and follow along. And I've made some great friends by doing that. But I do consciously try to stay Australian.
Is that the selfie video of Grant driving in his convertible?
No. That was a different guy. That was Gil.
Oh, okay. Because I think that is the first video I ever saw, with Grant's face in it. I think that was around the time you were doing your tape dispenser, and I kind of was also introduced to you.
Yeah. No, that was Gil. He's down in the States, I think. But and the Sumo was why I started watching you, because you were featured on the exact same video as me. So I went, hey, I might as well go over and check out this guy. And then he was doing 23-minute videos on that you've now re-edited. I just remember looking, because I always go back to someone's first video to see I want to see like what they're all about. And there was like these long videos, and I was like, and then I saw you. I think at that time you'd already re-edited one. I went, he's learning. Well, then I will follow him because no one needs to see like 10 hours of sanding, right? And I'm the same way. Like I re-edited one of my first videos recently, and I turned it from a 10-minute video into like a 4-minute video. And I feel like it's a way better video that actually tells the story way better. So
Yeah.
I was expecting my van video to be like 20 odd minutes, and it just happens to come under 10 minutes. I was like, oh, cool.
Well, while we're on this topic, I meant to mention earlier, but I totally forgot. The Fools with Tools Treasure Trade video that I'm making, I was filming it to make it just a 1-minute short Instagram video. And right as I dropped the footage into the timeline, I'm like, okay, this is an hour of footage. This is a project that I really like. I'm not going to squeeze this into a minute. I'm going to make this a full video. And it's really interesting, like doing the editing now. So like for whatever reason, for no good reason at all, I gave myself the constraint that I was only going to use my little tabletop tripod just to kind of like streamline my workflow. So I have like that constraint for one. And I also shot it thinking that I was only going to use clips to sum up to a minute. So it's very sparsely shot. But the end result of that is that it's a very easy video to edit, and I'm not really missing any footage at all. I'm like, oh, I should just film all my videos like this. It just is like, I have everything I need, nothing I don't, and I save like 20 gigabytes. Easy.
Yeah. Well, that's the hard. So just to continue this tangent for a little bit longer, that's the hardest part is that there's so many times that I say, oh, I wish I had filmed that because something didn't quite go right, or like I did something funky, and you're like, oh, I really wish I had that on camera. So I've actually started like, if anything, filming too much. I get like you can do a lot of the like in-camera edits or whatever, but I always find like if I didn't film it and something interesting happens, I'll kick myself later.
Well, I think the biggest thing is like you have to just, it's a matter of how well you know your own editing process. Because if you're very inexperienced, it can take so long to slog through all this footage. But if you've made 100 videos and you know where to find stuff and where you would have put something and where you want to cut it, and you're confident that you can clip a clip without accidentally deleting something, that's awesome. It's great. Because I mean, like I just said, like save 20 gigabytes, but I mean, it's 2020. 20 gigabytes is like $1 worth of storage. Like storage is the least of my concerns now, considering how cheap it is.
So speaking of gigabytes, you want to have a guess at how many gigabytes of footage I got for the van?
Well, you shoot in 4K, right?
Yep.
I don't know, like 200.
563.
Oh my God, it wouldn't even fit on my lap. All right, let's get back to the main topic.
Yeah.
Of the focus on whether or not you're focusing on regional versus focusing on worldwide. Because I think, Morley, you started up this Makers on Zoom Having Coffee and attracted a giant group of people worldwide, really. You got people from the UK, you got people from Australia, you've got people from, even Canada joined somehow. I don't know how. They have the internet up here now. It was, so it's just like a very interesting, like you seem to not specifically try and not limit yourself. And I would love to hear your perspective that kind of versus what James just said of how he wants to spend his time focusing in on kind of the people that are near him.
So I guess my perspective is that I see the internet and the ability to make YouTube videos as this way to reach anyone in the world. And I see that as like a fantastic thing. And there's a very good chance that the more places I can reach and the bigger variety of places I can reach and variety of interest levels, the more people I'll find who see the stuff I do and are like, oh, I love that. That inspires me. That's beautiful. And I see that as just like only a good thing. So, I mean, honestly, like geography is one of the lowest things on my list of considerations. I mean, that's also an effect of me kind of growing up with the internet. It being around for most of my childhood. It's like I don't really see any other way than just putting it out kind of like worldwide as step one, other than kind of physical commission works where distance is a factor. But I mean, you factor in shipping and you can get things anywhere.
Yeah, and it's for me, like I think part of it is like you're an American living in another country.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
borders.
even if it isn't like you don't even consider borders. I think is the thing.
Exactly. Like I'm in a incredibly privileged place where I can be an American living in another country, and it's all great. And I'm going to use that position as well as I can. You know, like I love being a nomad for now.
And I think, like, I know I follow a lot of people in different countries. Like, you know, there's people in Turkey and I know Australians in Canada and US. But I've also found, like, it's harder to find interesting people that don't speak English. That's what I've found, is that YouTube knows that I don't speak another language and doesn't suggest other things for me, I find.
So that's what I was thinking when you mentioned Makers on Zoom having coffee being very international, which it is. It's kind of international, but it's still limited to the English speaking Western world. I mean, we have a couple of Europeans who speak very, very good English, but you think of all the makers all around the world who don't speak a lick of English. And that's a massive community that, I mean, I don't know if you guys ever get this, but every once in a while you'll get like comments in another language on your videos, and you run over to Google Translate and you're like, oh, what's this person saying? What do they think?
Yeah.
It is. And I think, YouTube being an American platform and the internet being, from our perspectives, always going to be dominated by English speakers because that's the way we interact with things. My wife's actual previous day job was she's Chinese, and she literally worked for advertising companies who wanted to translate their English websites into Chinese and vice versa, because the way the internet works in China is completely different. They don't live in Google world. Google doesn't exist in China. Right. And we have to sort of be aware that we're only focusing on a very small part. Some of her favorite YouTubers are these Chinese makers who have tens of millions, and I'm not exaggerating. One of the girls, I think, has nearly 20 million subscribers. And I guarantee none of you have heard of her. I couldn't even pronounce her name. And she is amazing, full production crew, everything. But we never see it because her videos are focused for a Chinese audience. She has no speaking in them, really, nothing that matters anyway. And there's nothing stopping an English person from watching them. And her videos are beautiful. They're well produced. And a lot of the European makers, a few of them I follow. Gockman is a bloke who comes to mind who makes a lot of tools. I don't know if he speaks English at all because he just doesn't speak. And I think we're very lucky being English speakers on YouTube because we have the option of speaking or not speaking. Whereas a lot of people who don't speak English as a first language but realize the big YouTube market is America, they get around that by not speaking and let their work do the talking for them.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's a very interesting thought. And I think what I've noticed is there's a few that I follow that have just started going, I'll do what I want and I'll speak in my language and put subtitles because I'm doing this for me. And I feel more comfortable. Like there's a bigger market if the US wants to hear me, but if I make really cool things, it doesn't matter whether I speak English or not. Right? And I think I really like that idea. Even if it's, harder for me to watch the video because it's hard to read a subtitle and watch the thing happening at the same time. Like, watch me you read the little subtitle at the bottom, watch me make this really cool cut. And then you go, oh, crap, I missed it. But I do think it's an interesting thing that you talk about, like there's probably millions or thousands at least of accounts that have millions of followers that I'll never see.
Well, it's interesting you guys are saying kind of like the English-speaking world being such a large market for YouTube, but it's coming to be like one of the smaller ones. I mean, considering how much the developing world is building up their internet infrastructure. I mean, you go to, like when I was in Thailand, incredible. Like every single person has a smartphone, no matter their social status or their economic level. It's so widespread. And I don't know if you ever look in like your YouTube analytics, but it's like, oh, I have all these viewers from India that I never would have expected. And I mean, the English speaking world is still like only just a part of the world. And it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of shifts over time as more and more non-English speaking developing countries get widespread access to the internet and devices.
Yeah, I mean, we are obviously probably showing our own English-speaking bias. We see English and making the assumption that just because YouTube is American and that we're always seeing English-speaking content, that's what we have. But it sort of goes beyond that, because as much as I am with my viewing, focus it locally, and I make projects, and I'm doing now, even the sandpaper testing that I'm doing now, not to bore people further with that. But one of the reasons I'm doing it is because there was a really good one. And there was a very, very popular sandpaper testing one done in America last year. So I'll have to look it up. I have not watched it, and I've not watched it despite being recommended it many times, because I don't want to A, to bias my results, and B, because I know for a fact the ultimate winner of that test is not available in Australia. So like Morley said, with my wood species one, they hadn't heard of a lot of the wood species that are commonly available at our big box store. And it's just so regional with a few things like brand availability and product availability, wood availability. And I really like honing in on that. But in a lot of my videos where measurements are important, I put feet and inches in subtitles up on my screen, because I know through my analytics that 80% of my audience is American. So if I'm speaking just in metric, yes, that's what I do. I mean, I jump between the two a little bit, but I try to be considerate that a lot of my audience are in imperial. So if the measurements are important, I'll put the imperial measurements on the screen.
I'm not considerate. They can look it up themselves. Firstly, I had to laugh and need to point out the fact that you said big box store and not stores.
Well, we basically
because Australia has one. But yeah, so with the whole people from other countries and that don't speak English, so I am subscribed to one girl who just does drum covers, and then every now and then she'll put out a vlog, but she speaks in her own language, and like I go to watch it, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying, and then just stop. And then the little sneak into my recommendation this week is from, I don't know, China. They're from China or something, but like there's no voice or anything. There's just a video of them of them doing something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys find this, but I also get very inspired seeing people from other places making things, because they tend to use very different tools and techniques in a way that I would never expect. I noticed that, like, to give an example that probably a lot of people have seen, Laura Kampf. I mean, she's working with a lot of different brands and fasteners and material selection than many people in North America. But if you go even like into Asia and sort of like farther away countries, it's always so interesting to see the different material sets that people are working with. And it makes you kind of question, well, why am I even doing it this way? Like the only reason I'm doing it this way is because everyone is doing it. Maybe there's a better way to do it. It's like one of the benefits of traveling. You see like this land that has evolved in a totally different way, and it makes you realize that there's other ways of doing things, which I love.
I get that argument from my wife constantly whenever I want to buy a new tool that's $200-$300. She'll quickly point me out to a video going, this little bloke in the middle of a paddock somewhere built this amazing folding chair using only a bow saw and a hammer. That's the only thing he used. Why do you need to go and buy a $300 nail gun? Seriously, pick up your game, James.
Well,
which James? James Wright.
Yeah. It's like, have you guys seen Primitive Technology?
Oh, yeah.
The guy literally walks out into the forest and built everything from the start of building his own hammer from a rock and a tree. and like the roots of the tree tie the rock, and then he just builds better and better tools, and he builds he has built some amazing things. I can't watch it anymore because it makes me depressed with how like unproductive I am compared to him.
It's one of my favorite YouTube channels, like by far, and it inspires me because it makes me. I love doing things with a very minimal tool set. And it's like you can make awesome stuff, and it's just like the elbow grease and the just grit inspiration. You're like, you can do anything if you just put enough time in.
And I've gotten that from him enough that now he makes me feel sad because I look at it and go, why can't I motivate myself at all? Like, yeah.
But that's also like the thing with time lapses is it only shows like his projects takes months and months to make. That's why it takes him so long to put out each video. I feel like that's why I kind of get a little sad when people see like Jimmy DiResta's videos and like, how did you build this so fast? It's like, well, he's an amazing artist and craftsman, but like he also did speed it up 16 times, and you shouldn't get discouraged just because it looks like he did it so easily and quickly. Like when you speed things up, they look easier and faster than they really are.
Yeah, that's very true. So I just took a quick look at my analytics. I have 40% from the US, 14 in the last year of all my views, 40% from the US, 14 from India. And I know those are all on one video. I'm sure of it because the comments that I get on that particular video are in the languages that are from India. 10% from the UK and 9% from Canada, and only 2.8% from Australia. Come on, guys.
Aww.
You have a much more equitable split than I do. And Grant, because our brains seem to always be working the same, I also pulled up my audience analytics. So the way out front runner for me is the United States at 38%. And then a far lagging second is UK, the United Kingdom at 5.8%.
Wow.
Then Canada at 4.1, Germany at 2.9, and India at 2.1.
Wow.
Well, it shows you how much attention I pay to my analytics because, quite frankly, I don't pay much attention to my analytics. 80% was mildly overestimating. It's 40% US, 12% Australia, 12% UK, 7% Canada. Oh, Canada. And then the Philippines, 3%. So wow. It's it is interesting. Obviously, primarily Australian speaking, but yeah, there's obviously a big audience out there, especially when you're from a smaller country like Australia.
How many people are in Australia?
Since we're all going to tell our analytics.
Oh. Yeah, go for it, Adam.
So 45.7 United States, 8.8 Australian, 1.3% from Iraq, and 0% United Kingdom. Canada didn't even make the board, so come on, guys.
I'm sorry. They're all from me. I don't know why it's so low. I do think like have you guys ever considered adding subtitles to your videos in another language?
No.
Oh, in another language? No, I haven't really thought about that. But I like subtitles when YouTube will do those like auto play silent animations when you're scrolling through the homepage and you kind of get a taste for what the video is. But other than that, I never watch videos with subtitles.
Yeah.
I watch some gaming people that like they'll put subtitles in, like they edit it in, like on funny moments and stuff. But other than that, like I'm not in. Like as you said, you read the subtitle. They get people in other countries, even if you do another language, you're going to have the same issue. They're going to read what you say, and then they're going to miss what you did.
Right. So I watch some French channels, and I'll put the subtitles on for them, because my French isn't good enough to hear what they're saying. And I've often considered adding French subtitles to my videos because I have enough of a language. I don't speak very much in my videos, and I get enough of the language that Google Translate plus my ability to change Google Translate to the actual right thing would be passable so that people knew what I was saying. And I've often thought about doing that to try and get more of an audience that way, and to appeal to other people. But then I go like, well, where do I stop? Do I do French? And then I just
Exactly.
Do I do another language and another language and another language? Like, I don't even edit the English ones, and I know they're wrong.
There's a really cool Australian channel. He's been at it for a very long time, over 10 years, I think, called DIY for Knuckleheads, otherwise known as Uncle Knackers. And he actually has, I believe it's a company, a service, who not subtitles, but re-voices over his videos in Spanish. And he's got about 200,000 followers on his regular Australian English channel, but then he's got nearly 10,000 followers on his Spanish-speaking DIY for Knuckleheads channel. I'm not sure how he fell into that or what sparked the idea, but I keep saying that one day I will overtake DIY for Knuckleheads in subscribers, and I'm always mentioning the Spanish version, not the actual version. But it can work. He's found a whole new audience, and Spanish is one of the most spoken languages in the world. By engaging people to do that, there are lots of possibilities out there.
It's like how Pat Lap does. He always puts out a French version and an English version every video he puts out.
Yeah, often.
I've always found that really interesting. And then he does like a silent or like what does he call it, ASMR version. I feel like there was something else I was going to say as well, but I forget.
Wow.
So I guess it doesn't matter.
There is something like I know I said like I love putting things out that the whole world can see, and like why not take advantage of the entire possible 7-8 billion people in the world that could watch my videos. But there is also something fantastic about like seeing a local maker do their stuff. Like I would never know about the Canadian Tire 75% off sales if it wasn't for what Grant said. Like you can't get everything from the massive international community because there's always going to be those local considerations that are important. And then you can learn about where your materials are coming from and ways to just like be a better maker and operator, not just in like the videos, but in the things themselves.
I remember what I was going to say. So you know how YouTube does their like automatic English subtitles? Do they not do that for other languages?
I think they're starting to. I think that's something that's slowly trickling in. Wow, Rivet is adorable in person.
Rivet is huge.
Yeah, he's a lot bigger than I expected. Look at that yawn. Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's so for the people who
audio
can't
listeners.
see from home, Rivet's the first time he's actually come in while I'm recording a podcast. And
that would be his dog, not a fastener.
Correct.
Yeah, but he's named after a fastener, not a frog's noise, which is what most people think. Sorry to interrupt that poignant thought that you had there, Morley.
That was most of it. It's all right.
Look, I think it depends on what the goals of your channel are too. I mean, I don't have goals for my channel. I've been blown away the past year or two as my channel has taken off in my own words compared to the first 12 months. But it's still, if I had 0 subscribers tomorrow, I'd probably keep doing what I'm doing because I make my channel as my relaxation. It's my hobby. It's my enjoyment. I watch YouTube for the same reason. The learning, doing something very different to what I do 9 to 5 is the reason my channel exists. Other people have channels because they want to reach as many people as possible. So you have to internationalize your audience, particularly if you're not American, in order to reach those large numbers of people, to grow a channel quickly, to grow your ideas. Other really great makers, particularly fine furniture makers here in Sydney, they have amazing work, absolutely exquisite, but their channel exists to advertise. And obviously making large pieces of furniture, they're trying to reach a very local market. So if they get someone who goes, oh, I want a dining room table, they go, great, here's my YouTube channel. You can see what sort of dining tables and chairs I can make. And sometimes, they have thousands of followers as well because their work is that good. But it's not the purpose. Their purpose is advertising. So your audience is very much dictated by what the purpose of your YouTube channel or other social media is.
It's something I've always said and thought from the beginning. I've always been very careful about where I share my content to. Is I don't want people to subscribe to me just to get my numbers up. Like you could have someone that has a million. But you could have someone that has like 1 million subscribers and only 1,000 people that subscribe are actually interested in what they put out. Or you could have someone with 1,000 subscribers and all 1,000 of those people are interested in what they're putting out. Like these people, like there's people out there that literally purchase subscribers and followers. Like I don't want people to follow me that aren't interested.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, coming back to that whole language thing, and that is that, okay, maybe some people would be interested if you put the subtitles on that, but maybe not. And then you're going to get people that subscribe just because you're one of the people that does put out subtitles, but they don't ever watch any of your videos. They don't like they don't care.
And I definitely worry about, like, when I first started this whole thing, I literally, and this is how I found Adam, but I literally just went to find anyone under 1,000 subscribers. Actually, I think 100 at the time. I literally just went on YouTube trying to find tiny creators who are like me, putting out videos of making things. And that's what I did, and I found everyone. And I first started like Ottawa. I was like, let me try and find the Ottawa people I can find. And I found Andrew, the guy who was just on the last podcast. And literally, I was like, that's the only person I can find on YouTube. And and it took even like a year to like make up the courage to actually meet him in real life. But anyways, he's a good guy. But then I was like, okay, I'll try Canada. And I like, okay, Matthias Wandel's from Canada. Great. He's got 1 million subscribers. Oh, he's from Ottawa. He's actually from my neighborhood. Great. He moved away just after I started making YouTube videos. It's unfortunate because I probably could have somehow worked that into, getting a shout out maybe. But he shopped at the same Home Depot I shop at. And anyways,
he touched the same curb.
Yeah. Pretty much. Like I can drive by his old house. I think it's been torn down now though. But because that's what they do with all the bungalows in my neighborhood.
You should next time you go to Home Depot, like do a story and tag him in it. Be like, remember coming here?
Yeah, and he'll never ever see it. Anyways, all that to say, I really tried to like keep it Ottawa, keep it Canada, and then I went, you know what? I'm just going to try and find everyone who's more like me. Small channel, like James, like you said, amateur people doing things. That's what I enjoy. Like I watch the big guys too, but I often find myself not enjoying their videos as much, like depending on the people, because I feel like they've gotten a little bit like their ego has gotten in the way of them making really good content. Yeah. So that's
you probably find people that get bigger too. One specifically I can think of, but I'm not going to name, that they get in this routine of building the same different projects, but essentially the same thing over and over. Their videos are the same every single time. And
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, whereas you take someone like say Bob from I Like to Make Stuff, every video is different. Like, yes, the style might be the same, but like, he's not just like building a box every single time. Like every time it's completely different. And I think that's why he keeps me interested. Whereas there's other makers that just keep repeating themselves and you lose interest.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think, maybe this is not a correct assumption, but maybe of the four of us, I'm probably one of the one of us. Well, I can't speak right now. I'm probably the one of the four of us that watches the least amount of maker videos, at least at the moment. And I don't know. It's just the way my motivation, the time I want to spend watching is going right now. And I feel bad about it sometimes, but it's just not where I currently am getting a lot of my creativity from. Although I'm finding kind of like, as we've talked in previous episodes, like sometimes I really need that recharge and I watch like a lower comp video. I'm like, oh, like that really just really makes me want to like invent something really cool. All this to say is, I find that when wow, this is such a roundabout point, but I'm going to make it anyway. I found some really amazing craftspeople that do not speak English and none of their posts are in English. And for whatever reason, it's like, this is just the most garbage tangent. I'm so sorry. I had like two totally different points that weren't relating in any way. I'll stick with the second one. What I was trying to say is, when one of the great things about the worldwide maker community is the fact that you can really just focus on the content, and there's not all of the persona and everything else and everything with words that's built around it. Like I see this picture of like a beautiful leatherwork that pops up on my Instagram, and the caption is in Polish, and it has this sort of like mystique that's really amazing. That's just one of the things I love about kind of finding these sort of international posts. I'm sorry, I just had like a total brain fart. Someone else can take over.
Well, you're the host this week, so how about you just take it over to clamp mendations?
All right, sounds good. Yes. So I will go first. So my clamp mendation this week is someone who makes 3D printing look beautiful. Not 3D printed things, but the process of 3D printing.
You can't pick yourself.
No, it's not me. This guy does stuff that looks like wizardry. It looks like pure magic. His name on Instagram is Dom Rico Bean. I think it's his first name. Oh, sorry, it's his real name. So the handle is @dom.ricobean. And he somehow, I've yet to figure out exactly how, but he makes these videos of something being 3D printed where you can't see the extruder head. So it's almost as if there is a camera attached to the 3D printer, and it automatically scrubs out the frames where the extruder is in the way and only takes frames when this extruder is not there. So it looks like this thing is just materializing out of thin air. And he doesn't just do that, but that is one of the things he does to make these like beautiful project videos. He does a lot of things with LiDAR and topography. So LiDAR is taking laser imaging of topography, and then he'll create these 3D maps and other sorts of like really interesting digital desktop fab projects. He just has this very, very unique aesthetic. Clearly a very talented artistic designer. And yeah, he's doing something that's very unique.
I do like that. Looks really cool.
Yeah. What about you, Adam? What is your clamp edition this week?
Okay, I can't say the channel name because it's in Chinese or Japanese or something. I don't know. But it's all symbols and then it says DIY crafts. And it's a video on how to hide a screw. And I thought it was so ingenious. Like when I actually when I actually searched on YouTube, I found a couple of other videos suggesting similar. But essentially what they did was get a chisel, and like a really sharp chisel, and curl up a piece of the wood, and then countersink the screw, and then glue that piece, that curl back down. Yeah. And like it is seamless. You cannot see at all. I can't believe I've never thought of it. That's such a clever idea.
The first time I saw that, I saw it on like VOOV Media or something like that. One of the like the Facebook conglomerate media things. I was blown away, just like you. Just like I could see it, I could hear it in your voice. You were like, "Wow, how did I not think of that? That was amazing."
Yeah,
and I thought the exact same thing. I went, "How did I not think of that?"
But have you ever actually gone and done it?
I haven't had the opportunity since because I don't like using screws.
I literally watched the video like a few days ago. So no.
I try not use screws as much as possible, only to make it like unless like it doesn't matter. But if I'm trying to make something nice, I try and not use screws, only to make my mind think of ways to attach things without screws. I use screws if it's like 2x4s. I'm cool with like screwing into 2x4s all day long.
I found it interesting. I said to my client for the van build is he was showing me pictures, and the guy that had built something similar is like he's got like a bracket screwed into the floor, which then screws in, and I'm like, this is a difference between someone who's just trying to make something to make it work and someone like me who's a woodworker. I want to hide all that. I hate hardware. I don't like being able to see hardware. I want to hide it as much as possible, and that's why I decided to go with pocket holes because you can still see them, but they're a lot more hidden. You don't have brackets in the way and all that sort of stuff. And yeah,
cool.
What about you, Grant?
I have been binge watching epic rap battles of history.
Oh, nice. I couldn't figure out what ERB stood for, but that's
Yeah, I
awesome.
was wondering what ERB is. Now I know.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh my God. I've seen them before a long time ago, and obviously
Yeah.
they've been around for a long time, and they got 15 million subscribers. They don't need my shout out, but I have been like binge watching all of their stuff. Like I don't know, YouTube recommended one, and I think I've watched like 3/4 of their catalog. In the
Are they
last
still
week.
going?
I think so. Yeah, they just put out a
I thought they
Biden.
stopped.
So that's why it recommended it. Of course, it started with Biden versus Trump,
Oh, wow.
right? Because that's
hilarious.
topical.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's good. Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd. It was good stuff. Yeah.
Sweet. And what about you, James? What is your clampmendation for this week?
I'm going to sneak in two, if I may, guest privileges. The first one is a bloke that a lot of people would have met as the pallet punter, but about this time last year renamed to Dana Design because while he still uses predominantly pallet wood, and yes, they're real pallets for everyone listening, people keep accusing him of having fake pallets that he makes this beautiful furniture out of, because that's totally a thing. Anyway, the way people's mind goes sometimes. And he's no longer a small channel. He is blowing up left, right, and center. He started a year after me, and he's over 10K already, and he deserves it because he works so hard. And you can see when you look at the finished product why some people might think there's no way you made that out of pallet wood. But then you watch the video, and he shows you from breaking it down to surfacing to getting it all put together. So Mark over at Dana Design is the first one. And the second one, just a very quick shout out to my mate Carl Pope in the UK. See, I do go international sometimes. He has got a hashtag challenge coming up purely for the funsies. It's the Carl Pope Woodcraft Build a Chair Challenge 2020. I'll get Morley to put the hashtag, because it's long and ridiculous, in the show notes. And effectively, it's just going to be for the funsies, making anything you can sit on, and running that through YouTube as a challenge. I love these challenges. It's how I've met most of my international guys and girls who I subscribe to, is through Sumo Scrapwood Challenge and other things like this. I'm hoping to find time to get involved, and I encourage other people to do so. So Dana Design, Carl Pope Woodcraft.
Cool.
Well, I would like to get involved as well, but I just know that the timeline for and what I need to do at this time, I've already told Carl, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. But I do agree, these challenges are a great way of meeting an international community. And I had something to say about Dana Design, but I've lost it now. But I think he's not our first respiff, but it's probably our second respiff. Al's been spiffed a couple times from Al's Hack Shack, but
Ron Podcast Grant.
Oh, right. We're not spiffing people.
Well, I'd have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure Mark has at least mentioned my channel in 90% of his past 10 or 20 videos. So I don't know if this was a deliberate ploy to get me to replug him constantly, not that he needs it. His channel's now 10 times larger than mine, but he's a top bloke. And for some reason, he keeps looking to me for advice when I think it should be the other way around.
He definitely keeps in contact and doesn't let the subscribers go to his head. I was messaging him this morning too.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I was
definitely
I was messaging with him yesterday. I don't know how he has that much time on his hands with all the how much work he puts into. Now I remember what I was going to say. People don't believe his pallets are his pallets because they've never seen Australian wood. That's why.
Interesting.
When I think about pallets, I think about pine and spruce, and if I'm lucky, I get an oak one, right? So they're all pretty much bland, right? And red oak is the wow version of my pallets, right? And you guys get these pallets that are every color of the rainbow, basically.
So are Australian pallets made of eucalyptus and things like that?
No, well, here's the great irony. 90%, I'm absolutely guessing here, our pallets are going to come from Southeast Asia. You think of shipping ways, all of our machinery, all of our imports, those pallets, all your screws, everything that we have made. I mean, we'll have a few from Europe, but most of them are going to be Southeast Asia. So they're probably like Merbo, the thing I made that dog gate out of, would be a very common pallet material as well. So those different colours are probably the rainforest woods coming from the equatorial regions where all of our imports are coming from, whereas you guys would have probably domestically made pallets, which are going to be, as Grant said, the North American species of wood. So that's how he must get the colour variety in there. But no, I don't think there'd be anyone who actually makes pallets in Australia. Eucalyptus is a bastard hard wood and very, very expensive. So it's not suitable for that kind of application.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, when I say eucalyptus, I think it's just the first wood that pops into my head when I think like Oceania. So there's no reason I said eucalyptus over other.
Eucalyptus
I always think red gum.
Yeah, red gum. Eucalyptus, there are thousands of types, and like Indonesia and lots of other places have eucalyptus too. But a lot of you saying eucalyptus is like saying pine. There are heaps and heaps, dozens and dozens of varieties.
All right. Well, on that, I want to give a big shout out to the people that support us on Patreon, especially Leroy at Big Rock Timberworks. He's our top level Patreon, and everyone who supports us over there gets access to the after show and pre-show, if we do one, which is always a lot of fun, as well as a custom handmade clamp leather keychain, which are pretty sweet. In addition, we also have clamp stickers that we send out with each keychain. So if you would like to learn more about that, you can go to patreon.com/clamp and learn more about it there.
Those key tags are that, what was the word? Special that we don't even have one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Dave's arrived. He posted a picture yesterday from this date of recording on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a review. And this is an accent that I am a little nervous about. So I'm not going to bury the lead. It is from our favorite middle-aged Midwestern woodworking woman. And I'm going to feel bad if this is wrong, but I believe this is Christy at Twisted Twine Woodworking. So the tricky thing is that Christy, I would not call her accent exactly Midwest, or what a lot of people think when they think Midwest. Like when I hear Midwest, I think of like Wisconsin or Ohio.
But she's from the Ozarks.
Yeah, she's from Missouri, which is like, Missouri is more geographically literally Midwest, but I think a lot of people think it's more like Southern sounding. So it's this weird like hybrid accent that I feel like is very subtle and difficult to hit on exactly. But I'm going to do my best, Christy.
In before, it's not Christy.
Oh, is it not? Oh, you said in before. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like 96% sure. All right, so here's her review. And I watched her most recent video before just so I could get a better feel for this, which is also awesome. It's her leather and walnut handbag. But that being said,
oh, what's that? Yes, sir.
Christy says, "Good listen, 5 stars. Y'all are part of my regular weekly schedule. Brightens up a Monday morning to see the podcast downloaded. Appreciate the insight and the variety of views in the group. Keep up the great work. Looking forward to hearing Morley read this review as a middle-aged Midwestern woman. From your favorite middle-aged Midwestern woodworking woman."
Nice.
That woman had a deep voice.
At least it was much better than his Australian accent.
There we go.
I don't think it was. When I heard him say Australian, that sounded way more closer than what he was trying to go for there. This is my favorite part of the show, and I hope it's other people's favorite parts as well. But
nice. Well, with that review,
I love it.
Christy is entered in the official clamp review giveaway that is closing on Halloween. So Halloween, when is Halloween? Halloween is...
It'll be closed before this episode comes out.
Okay, so this is the last entry in case someone puts one in, because even if they put one in before Halloween and we don't get a chance to read it...
They got 3 days or 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this will be the last review that we'll read on the episode that will be counted towards the giveaway. So, yeah, Grant's handmade clamp will be going to one lucky winner.
potentially James. James is actually one of the people who's done a review.
Damn straight.
Ooh.
I'm really excited for this handmade clamp. I have like no idea how you're going to do it or like which direction you're going to take.
Yeah, me either.
Very
man.
curious.
Me either.
So Grant's going to have to pay for shipping to Australia again.
Again, Adam won my first ever giveaway. He won a bottle opener, and
That's hanging on my tool wall.
nice. But now he doesn't drink, so no.
Yeah.
There's other things that come in bottles.
I might have to forward it on to James.
Also want to thank TF Turning for the theme song. And before we close it out, do you boys have any other business you'd like to touch on?
No.
All right. Well, with that, you can find Adam at Maker Mackie. You can find Grant at the Grant Alexander. You can find me at Morley Kurt. And James, where can the people find you if they want to see all your woodworking, Australian tree knowledge, and other awesome things?
You'll find me primarily on YouTube, putting out project videos or reviews and the like about once every fortnight, and in between projects on Instagram at Fixit Fingers.
There we go.
All right. Fixit Fingers. Everything will be linked in the show notes. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for coming.
Do you want to give that a quick plug and how people can get involved, and that can be the bonus for this
Cool.
week?
All right. Well, I'll just cut that down to about 5 seconds. So if you are an Australian woodworker and you're looking for a fairly inclusive community, then come find us on Aussie Makers Group on Facebook. There's about 3,500 of us, and we've got everyone from novices right through to professional furniture makers and builders. And we're not just wood, it's wood, metal, anything. We love the anything makers because it's just so interesting and different to get away from those two wood and metal tropes. Come on, it's a really great place. A few questions to answer and you're in, and you can interact with a fantastic community.